So right at this moment, Netanyahu is not in any danger. However, if he tries to hold on to office or form a government, the whole issue of whether he can continue to serve under indictment will come up again.
You're listening to Inside Israel Today with Gil Hoffman on the Land of Israel Network.
Hello and welcome to Inside Israel Today, here in the Land of Israel Network on thelandofisrael.com. People are listening all around the world, many of you in places that have political messes like America, like England. Here right now, I don't think it's bad as those places, but it's pretty bad. We are in the middle of a massive legal and political spiderweb that is very difficult to untangle. In order to help us be able to untangle it, we will be speaking soon to the Jerusalem Post legal expert, legal analyst Yonah Jeremy Bob, who will help us put this in perspective. But since we last had this show last week, the Attorney General Avichai Mandelblit decided to indict Netanyahu on 3 cases. He indicted him for case 1000, which is the expensive gift affair. He indicted him for case 2000, which is the newspaper collusion affair. And he indicted him for case 4000, which is the Bezek-Walla affair. The Bezek-Walla affair involves a billionaire who owned the phone company and the cable company. And normally you cannot own 2 mega companies, but Netanyahu, who was the communications minister and therefore the regulator, let him continue to own both companies in return for positive news coverage. There maybe had been some hope that Netanyahu could get out of it, out of that last one where there was bribery charges. Because what kind of bribery is positive news coverage anyway? Why would that be considered a bribe? Always politicians ask journalists to give positive news coverage. Well, it didn't work. The Attorney General was not convinced, not by Netanyahu in his hearing, not even by some of the world's top legal experts who testified, Alan Dershowitz, Avi Bell, these professors from the United States. Their testimony was permitted at the last minute. They said that if you make positive news coverage a bribe, then it is a precedent-setting case all around the world. And so Netanyahu getting these indictments, even after his hearing where he thought he would persuade Mandelblit to let him off, and he ended up not letting him off at all in any way, Netanyahu has decided that he has been treated unfairly, that the state prosecution was out to get him, that the police were out to get him, that there's some collusion between the media and the law enforcement, the legal establishment, to bring him down. And so he decided to begin a war against the legal establishment. In his speech reacting to his indictments a couple hours later, he told the people of Israel, you have to go to the streets and protest against the way he has been treated. And so there is a very big protest tonight in Tel Aviv, and Netanyahu has strongly encouraged in public speeches, in private meetings with mayors, in social media, the people of Israel to go out and be a part of these protests. He is trying to make it an ideological issue, to say that the left controls the legal establishment and they're out to get the right, even though the Attorney General, Avichai Mandelblit, comes from a right-wing home, is right-wing, is ultra-Orthodox. No one could really accuse him of being left-wing, but he accuses him of giving in to the state prosecution and the left-wing people there. So right-wing groups, for instance, the Women in Green sovereignty group of Yehudit Katzover and Nadia Matar, an organization that Eve Harrow was very, very much involved in at the start, sent a message out saying, tomorrow we're assembling for a demonstration on behalf of the land of Israel. What? The land of Israel. No, not not to help Netanyahu not go to jail. No, but for the land of Israel. What do they say in their message here? No to the government overthrow. Everyone knows the truth. The persecution of Netanyahu is only a pretext. They seek to divide Eretz Yisrael. They seek to topple the right-wing government, and we will not allow it. They knew how to whitewash the crimes of generations of leaders on the left. They seek to topple the entire right by toppling Netanyahu. We will gather in the city center in Tel Aviv on behalf of the territorial integrity of Eretz Yisrael and on behalf of democracy. I guess they bought it. They believe that this demonstration is going to be a demonstration of the right against the left, not a demonstration to keep Netanyahu out of prison. It's certainly easier for Netanyahu to sell this that way. The majority of Israelis right now are right-wing or right of center. Not the majority of Israelis care so much about keeping Netanyahu out of prison that they would go to such a demonstration. People take pride in their beliefs about keeping the land of Israel, much more so than they take pride in defending charges of bribery, breach of trust, and fraud. We're very proud here to be on the Land of Israel network. We are not on the fraud, bribery, and breach of trust network over here. I don't know if the people that are attending this rally tonight really understand what it's about. I know that people are very good at marketing, like Netanyahu is really an ace at that. And if he's decided that this is a rally to keep the land of Israel, okay. But it's really, really, really not what it's about. And there are a lot of right-wing people who have realized that and have said, you know what? I don't feel comfortable going to a rally against the legal establishment of the state. There are rabbis who've called this bitul Torah, wasting time that you should be learning Torah. I would maybe go more with bitul family, wasting time that you should be with your kids, and not at a rally whose message is the Attorney General is a bad guy, the state prosecution are bad people, the police can't be trusted. Now, if we had a rally against the parking ticket givers, I'm there. The parking ticket givers, those people are nasty. They give us tickets even when we pay for parking. They pretend not to see that we did pay for parking. I'm there. But don't tell me that the anti-parking ticket rally is really to keep the land of Israel. I'm not going to fall for that. After the break, we're going to talk more about this with Yonah Jeremy Bob.
This week on the Yishai Fleischer Show, Woodstock meets the Bible. The first purchase of the Jewish people in the land of Israel is celebrated as 45,000 people gathered in Hebron this past Shabbat for Parshat Chaya Sarah.
1,800 years later, after this event took place, King Herod built the building that is still there today. Before there was a giant building there, the Torah keeps on saying, this is where it is. You got to know where it is. It's a real place in the land of Israel. It's a real purchase.
That's the Yishai Fleischer Show. New show every Thursday on the Land of Israel Network at thelandofisrael.com.
And we're back here on the Land of Israel Network on thelandofisrael.com, where, as we said, we are going through the legal mess as well as the political mess that Israel is in right now on our show today. And because I do not understand so much this legal mess, we are going to go straight now to the legal expert, Yonah Jeremy Bob of the Jerusalem Post. Explain what trouble Netanyahu is in.
Okay, Netanyahu is still in trouble. He still could be forced out of office, but the Attorney General, Avichai Mandelblit, who indicted him just last Thursday, gave him a big reprieve yesterday. There are 3 different ways that somebody could get him out of office, and pretty much Mandelblit said 2 of them can't happen right now, and the other one I'm punting and seeing what happens if there's an election, if somebody can form a coalition. So right at this moment, Netanyahu is not in any danger. However, if he tries to hold on to office or form a government, the whole issue of whether he can continue to serve under indictment will come up again.
What was unexpected that happened in the ruling on Thursday?
What was unexpected from Thursday, I would say, was the keeping Case 2000 in the game, right? So Case 4000, that's the Bezekwala affair, that's the most serious one. Bribery charge. Some people thought that there wouldn't be a bribery charge. I always said there would be. Case 1000, pretty much all the way through the illegal gifts affair, was going to be breach of trust. And from the beginning, Mandelblit himself has disliked Case 2000. It's my opinion that if there had been no Case 4000, he would have closed Case 2000. And I thought he still might, because Case 2000 is attempted bribery, right? This is the Yediot Achronot Yisrael Hayom affair.
Failed
in the end,
bribery.
there was actually no bribery.
Yes.
So it's attempted bribery, and who wants to go to court against the prime minister on something that didn't even actually happen in the end? So I personally thought that the case, Mandelblit would close it. In the end, he kept the case. My understanding of what happened was he reduced it from bribery to breach of trust. The rest of the prosecution wanted bribery. And since they were already indicting the owner of Yediot Achronot for bribery, they couldn't completely let Netanyahu out of the case. I think that's how it went down.
Last question, since I know you're in a hurry. Explain why Case 4000 is bribery. What was the quid pro quo? What happened that got Netanyahu in so much trouble?
Quid pro quo is Netanyahu got positive coverage systematically from Walla. That's what's alleged in the indictment. And in exchange for that, Netanyahu made not one, but several different policy changes as communications minister, fired people who were in the way at the communications ministry to make sure that these policies would go through. The majority of the rank and file professionals, apolitical people in the communications ministry, thought that these changes were wrong, and many of them said so. And these changes collectively made approximately 1.8 billion shekel for Shaul Elovitch, who also owned Walla. So basically, it's $1.8 billion for positive media coverage.
But Alan Dershowitz and those other professors said that positive media coverage isn't a bribe and it sets an international precedent. Why didn't that work in stopping it?
So first of all, there's a guy named Itamar Shimoni, who's a name that everybody should learn, and he's the mayor of Ashkelon, and there's a case against him about media bribery, and because of that, already nobody can actually factually say that this is the first case. What they can say is it hasn't happened often. It is a new idea, media bribery. Okay, so sometimes there's people figure out new ways, sophisticated ways to do something illegal that hadn't been done before. And if the law is able to deal with it, at the end of the day, what is bribery? Bribery is the giving of something of value and a quid pro quo. And as Moshe Lador, former chief state prosecutor, said, what's the value of winning an election with positive media coverage? Now, is this open and closed? No. Could a court end up deciding, I don't like media bribery, or I don't like it in this case? Yes. But it's going to go to trial.
Thank you very much for your time. That was Yonah Jeremy Bob, the legal analyst and correspondent for the Jerusalem Post. He's a very, very busy man these days, and so that is why that was short, but I really think that we packed it in, and I hope that you understand better why Netanyahu is in so much trouble legally right now. But without being asked, Yonah actually gave us a nice segue into the political portion of our show, because he explained why Netanyahu is in not as much trouble politically. The Attorney General ruled that Bibi doesn't have to quit right now. He did not give the ruling that Netanyahu's political opponents wanted, that it is not permitted legally for him to be able to form a government. He did not say he can form a government. He said he is not going to deal with that now because it's theoretical that Netanyahu could form a government. And I got to admit, I've been hearing that for 3 days. There have been leaks from the Attorney General's office that that's going to be his ruling, that he's going to say it's theoretical. And every time I hear it, I laugh. What do you mean it's theoretical for Netanyahu to form a government? He's trying every moment of every day to form a government. Everybody wants a government to be formed. People have differences of opinion of who should form the government, who should be in the government. But are you kidding me? It will become a lot more practical to form a government if you will rule and say that he either can form a government or he can't form a government. If you would say that he can't form a government, then somebody else can form a government, because we'll know that he can't. Because the reason why Benny Gantz can't form a government is because people prefer for Netanyahu to form a government. But if Netanyahu doesn't exist, then somebody else can form a government. Maybe somebody else in the Likud will be able to form a government if the Attorney General says that Netanyahu can't form a government. And if Netanyahu can form a government, then it'll be easier for him to form a government, because one of the reasons why Netanyahu can't form a government is because people think the Attorney General might say that he can't form a government. How dare you say, I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to keep it a secret. And how dare you give this odd excuse that it's theoretical. There is nothing less theoretical than this. And there are people that want the Attorney General to make decisions for them politically. And he's not going to give them that pleasure. He's not going to overthrow the Prime Minister, as maybe opponents of Netanyahu would want. And he's not overthrow the Prime Minister. So he's just going to leave everybody upset. And maybe there should end up being a demonstration against the Attorney General for not giving an opinion. And then the right and the left can go there, and the pro-Netanyahu people and the anti-Netanyahu people can go there and just agree that they want the Attorney General to actually say what he thinks about whether Netanyahu should be able to form a government. We've only been waiting to find that out for a year now, and just speculating, and all we can do is continue to speculate. And so without the Attorney General deciding for the politicians, they're going to have to decide themselves. And we have only 16 days left for them to do that. They have until next Wednesday night at midnight. Between Wednesday and Thursday. It's not enough time. It would be nice if the politicians would maybe pass a law saying these 21 days, which we've never had before, that we're in right now, where any member of Knesset can form a government, maybe make it 51 days, just so they can actually really get around to doing it. Then again, Israelis tend to not do anything until the last minute anyway. And so we're back into garbage time, ladies and gentlemen. It didn't have to be this way. It could have been that the Likud could have allowed a snap primary, and then they would already start working on it yesterday. But Netanyahu needs to approve that snap primary. Netanyahu is the leader of Likud. Netanyahu was elected to be the Likud's candidate for prime minister in the current Knesset. In order to have another primary where somebody else runs against him, Netanyahu has to give his approval for that, and it makes complete sense. Netanyahu could have said, you know what, run against me. I'm going to win anyway. I'm going to take this boost. He didn't. He didn't take that risk. And because of that, if Likud primaries won't be happening between now and that December 11th deadline, they're going to have to work on a different idea, work on some other kind of creative solution. And it's only going to happen the last day or two ahead of December 11th. It will remain a very big mess. Until then, we will currently remain in our garbage time where nothing is really going to be done, except if some kind of savior comes with this creative solution, whatever it might be. A lot of eyes are looking at the Knesset Speaker, Yuli Edelstein, because he's wearing two hats. He has the hat of potential Likud candidate. He could say, Netanyahu can't form a government, I can form a government, the same way that Gideon Sa'ar did, and then a primary could be forced easier if you got two very serious candidates who wants to run against the prime minister instead of one frustrated guy who's just trying to maybe build himself up. So when a primary would be held without Netanyahu, eventually that he will have an edge on his opponents. There's also the chance that Yuli Edelstein will intervene as the Speaker of the Knesset. Do something to try to force these members of Knesset to compromise. try together with the president, Reuven Rivlin, to do whatever you can to stop an election from happening. Yesterday, Avigdor Lieberman, he said in his press conference at the Knesset, lock them in a room. The president and the Knesset speaker should lock the party leaders in a room and don't let them leave until there's white smoke. Now, Avigdor Lieberman meant the white smoke that there is when you're picking a pope and that there is at the Vatican. He didn't mean for Rivlin and Edelstein to kill them. But still, it was surprising for me to see that after last week, when Lieberman's speech was all like talking about how much he hates the ultra-Orthodox and how much he hates the Arabs, that he was back into being more of a mediating figure and not someone trying to set fire by spreading gas everywhere. So here we are. We have 16 days left. Politicians, please do something. The people of Israel do not want elections. The people of Israel are divided about whether they're right-wing or left-wing or center. They're divided over Netanyahu's cases. They are united against elections. And since the Attorney General is not going to decide for us, it's up to the politicians. Good luck. This has been Gil Hoffman here on Inside Israel Today on the Land of Israel Network, on thelandofisrael.com. I will be back in this chair next week, presumably equally confused.
Hi, this is Eve Harrow, host of Rejuvenation on the Land of Israel Network. You can hear a new show from me every Sunday, and every day of the week, shows from another one of my very talented fellow show hosts. Reach me, Eve, at thelandofisrael.com, and keep listening, everybody. We love your feedback. The Land of Israel, coming at you every day, every week. That's the Land of Israel Network on thelandofisrael.com.